France and Germany say they are going to send troops to Greenland. They'll join a joint military exercise with other European nations. This comes as President Trump repeatedly insists the U.S. needs to take Greenland. As NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports, this exercise is meant to show support for Greenland and Denmark.
The exercise will take place through Saturday. It's prep for possible military support to Greenland and to buttress security in the region. The latest meeting between the foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland with Trump officials produced no resolution to escalating tensions around the ownership of the territory. In a communique, the European Parliament unequivocally condemns the Trump administration's statements regarding Greenland, saying his talk constitutes a blatant challenge to international law and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of a NATO ally. Eleanor Beardsley, NPR News, Paris.
I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and you just saw there on the screen from NPR how EU troops are being placed into Greenland. They're going to do some readiness exercises, and this is all in response to Nero, God Emperor Nero, trying to take Greenland. And it seems like, or as we've gone through with the Monroe Doctrine and the Roosevelt Corollary, we're watching them try to take all of the Western Hemisphere. And they're kind of preparing themselves for this great battle, World War III, that is coming up. Because with Greenland, they'll have more resources, and they'll also have a better point of hitting Russia from, an easier spot to hit Russia from, because it's up there close to the North Pole. And if you just keep going, you'll get to Russia if you're going just north. So it makes some sense, and there's already some bases that are already U.S. bases that are installed in Greenland from Cold War era. And yeah, this devil is trying to take it. The thing is, Greenland is a territory of Denmark, and Denmark is one of the NATO allies. And if one goes against NATO, all of the NATO nations are supposed to team up and go against whoever that enemy is, including if it's the United States or Babylon the Great, in which that is prophecy. This beast system, which the beast makes up NATO and the EU, it's the Edomite power structure, the rulership structure that they have on the earth. But it's going to break up. It was never supposed to be a cohesive unit. It was always prophesied to be in pieces. But actually, let's go to Daniel, just because we said that. Daniel 2. And verse 41. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. And this is the fifth part on the statues that Nebuchadnezzar dreamed. The feet of it. He started out with the head of gold, which represented the Babylonian Empire, and then the chest of silver, which represented the Medo-Persian Empire, the groin or skirt, the loins of brass, which represented the Greek Empire, and then the legs of iron, which represented the Roman Empire, and then you've got the feet, which are miry clay and iron, showing that it's a rebirth of the Roman Empire, or a reiteration of it, but it's a lower form, and it's not all together with that clay. The clay and iron don't really mix. It says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, and this is also the end of the time of the Gentiles. It's at the feet of it. It's the last bit of time that the Gentiles, or the heathen, anyone outside of Israel, the natural heathen, natural Gentiles that are outside of Israel. These are not Israelites, that they have any rulership on this earth whatsoever. We're at the end of that. This is part of potter's clay and part of iron. And the Roman Empire was iron, so showing you that image is still there. It says the kingdom shall be divided. And if Satan's kingdom is divided, how can it stand? Because it won't. It's not going to continue on forever. It says, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron. So you still have the old Roman ways, which are actually holding it together and are the strength that's there, especially militarily. It says, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And so you look at NATO nations, NATO EU nations, there are some of them that are strong economically, and then there's some that are weak economically. You have the PIGS nations, the PIIGS nations of the EU, of Europe. And these are known as your weaker nations. So you've got Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. And these are your pigs. And these are your weaker economically NATO nations. So those are the ones that are weaker. And then you've got like UK and Germany and France that are stronger, as well as the others. But yeah, it's not all together, and they're not all seeing eye to eye. They don't even all speak the same language. It's all mixed up, all jumbled together. If you look at Europe, there's massive amounts of different languages all in this small area. They're not all a cohesive unit. Back to 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So they're not one cohesive unit. This unit was always made to break up, and we're watching the beginnings of the EU start to break up, and really go back a few years, really since God Emperor Nero has been put into office. You've been seeing problems with the EU from his first term, and then with Biden's last term, where they blew up that pipeline. Yeah, in Nero's first term, where he was talking about America first, that rubbed some of those EU nations the wrong way, and he kept talking about how they're not paying their fair share. And then you get to Biden, that pipeline got blown up. People weren't happy about that, or these EU nations weren't happy about that, NATO nations. And then you've got all these tariffs and everything that has gone on since. And they're not happy. And then to this Greenland thing. So you could see the foreshadowing that this is not going to last. Even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom. And so showing they are the last of the heathen having rulership. Esau, Edom, so-called white man, including those tiny tops, they make up the last heathen rulership, and they try to pretend like they are the people, and they are the true Christians, been controlling the narrative, but they are the devil. What bigger deception is that than saying you're the Lord's people, but you're not actually the Lord's people? You're frauds. You're devils. So, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. Everybody could be saved? I think not. It's not going to be left to other people, and the Lord doesn't work on replacement theology or supersessionism. He's the Most High, and He changes not. And this kingdom is not going to be left to other people. Speaking to Edomites, who push universal salvation to everybody. It's just not true. It says, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. ever. So we want to watch this beast break up, this beast system break up. Nothing could be better. And it is. And this guy, Nero, is working on our behalf with all of this. This article came up today, or got pushed to me today, and it's from NBC News. It says Nero says he could impose tariffs on countries that oppose his goal of acquiring Greenland. Officials from Greenland and Denmark, which controls the semi-autonomous territory, as well as a host of major U.S. allies, have rejected Nero's push. And just, we'll just read the first little bit. It says President God Emperor Nero said Friday that he could impose tariffs on countries that don't accept his goal of having the U.S. take control of Greenland. I may do that for Greenland too, Nero said during a White House roundtable on rural health care after discussing his tariff policies. I may put a tariff on countries if they don't go along with Greenland, because we need Greenland for national security. The emperor didn't elaborate further, including which countries he could target. U.S. tariffs imposed on EU exports are currently capped at 15%. It says the EU is Babylon's largest trading partner. But and not even getting too much further, just showing it's little thing after little thing. Even the Venezuela thing, and just going in and taking out a seated ruler, a democratically elected ruler that they put in, BTW. Those EU nations aren't looking on that with fondness as well. This guy's doing a lot to make the whole world hate him. And really, when it comes down to it, the whole world will. It's going to be Babylon the Great, aka America, with Israel, the state of Israel, versus the whole world, seen and unseen world. Because Yahushua coming back too, so he's fighting everybody on the earth, and then Yahushua and the angels are coming from another realm. It's a realm against realm, and they're gonna sweep him up. This guy is hated. This man, the Edomites, so-called white people, including the Small Hatters, and this fighting is just leading to their own downfall. So his wisdom really vanished in Teman. Seems as if it has. Obadiah 1:3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. And these moves are extremely proud moves. They're even answering them with pride on why they did it. With Venezuela, he said there's nothing they could do about it. Or I think actually with Greenland, he was saying they were going to take it and there's nothing they could do about it. And he said their defense, all they've added to their defense are just a couple of dog sleds. This guy's walking in pride, oozing in pride. And the Edomites as a whole are oozing in pride, especially to be hated of the Lord. Oozing in pride. It says, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, because they are on the top of the socio-economic ladder. It says, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? They have placed themselves all the way up on the very, very top. They've pushed doctrine around the earth of their superiority, making everyone else feel bad, and setting up laws and policy just for their own and to hold others back. They think they are, and then they're trying to bring this whole new order to the earth, and they think they're gonna be there forever. His inward thought is that his houses should continue forever, which is a funny spirit the Lord put on them. It's really, and it goes into their pride, but this is the only nation that gets no mercy from the Lord when he returns. And yeah, they've tricked themselves into thinking that they're the Lord's people, but these are the people that the Lord hates. These are the people of his curse to judgment, and these are the people that the Lord's going to take their entire seed line off of the earth. Who shall bring me down to the ground? It's Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Jumping down to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. And NATO and EU nations are their closest allies of all their allies, but they're about to go to war with each other. It says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Because they've been at peace for a long time, but this coming war, they're going to be going head to head, and you can see these toes breaking up, the toes spreading, and this clay melting. They are not going to stand together for much longer. It says, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, because they've all profited together, but now's the time for them to go down. It says, there is none understanding in him. And the scripts say the wicked shall do, or Daniel 12 says the wicked shall do wickedly, but none shall have understanding. They're making these moves thinking they're going to keep going, but these moves are bringing them to their end. Just to end it off with the famous Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these are the vassal states of the Roman Empire, and nowadays they make up the EU. It says, these shall hate the whore. The whore is Babylon the Great, aka America. It shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. They're going to join in with the Russians and his allies, his bands, and fire nukes onto America and onto the state of Israel. They will fly, and this whore will be made desolate and naked. It's going to be beautiful, and it's great to see these prophecies coming into fruition. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.